monsters lurking at the gate. Heroes rise in the night, doctors wielding magic might. Doctors and dragons in the fray, healing wolves saving the day. Epic quest, dangerous call, stand as one, we won't fall.
Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Doctors and Dragons, a real play Dungeons and Dragons podcast featuring doctors. I am CJ, I am your DM for this evening, and we have another cast of absolute legends playing with us tonight. We have a few people that I'm going to whip around, and each of them is going to tell us who they are and what their character has got at level 2. Calliope, what did you get?
Yes, so I picked up a couple of extra spells, still leaning into being my bard. Ideally, I think, I can't remember which spells were the ones I picked up, but I think it was like illusionary script and might have been identify. So essentially, trying to find things that are going to help me find out the background of new stories and write my own.
Very nice. And I can see you've got a cat. Have we introduced your cat before?
Yes, this is Nibbles. So she's my little butthead who's like 16, 17 years old now. So
Now this is wild, but the cat from the other group, Roll for Initiative, is actually called Nibbles by complete chance. So what do you know?
yeah, I didn't even name her. That was the name she had when I picked her up from the pound years ago. So.
Tristan, tell us what Kurgan gets at level 2.
Oh, well, I took another level of rogue, which means I've become approximately 1,000% more cunning, in that I have gained the cunning action class feature. So I can now use my bonus action for various things that are cunning. So specifically dash, disengage, or hide actions.
Very nice. Emma, what did Lenora get at level 2, and are you all right after supervising the flood operation?
Oh yeah, it was hilarious. So we got largely spared as we were far enough north. So lots of drama and not a lot of action. Talos hit the Gold Coast in preference. At level 2, Lenora's now able to channel divinity. So watch out all those zombies. And she has a little bit of additional spell casting power, which will probably be bad for something, I would guess.
Very nice. And Justin, what did Vorgrim pick up at level 2?
At level 2, Vorgrim, the paladin of a unforgiving master, has picked up a fighting style. He's now got great weapon fighting to make him hit a little bit harder with his greatsword. All offense, no defense.
Very nice indeed. So we are going to kick off where we left. So you had just defeated the final cave in the Seago Cave arc. We had found a few things. Tristan had picked up half of a crystal key to what we don't know. You had discovered an orange egg, which had summoned a fire elemental and destroyed the fire elemental and cleared the cave so that the fumes that had been causing the problems had drifted away. You also found a series of mad scrawlings on the wall by a scholar named Cadasix Reb, and the body of a harper indicating some sort of mission or investigation of the island that they were unable to complete. Following all of that, you were able to have a rest, and as you drifted off to sleep, those scrawlings, the cave wall scrawlings, the mad fractals that symbolize destruction just kept drifting in front of your mind. And as each of you drifts off to sleep, you see something different. Tristan, we're going to start with you because I want to see some of Kurgan's backstory or potentially a glimpse of the future. Which way do you want to roll the dice here?
I think it'd be better to see some of Kurgan's backstory.
What does Kurgan see when these scrawlings tell him of destruction?
I think there's a couple of possibilities. Would they be indicating more like personal harm or like harm on others? Or is this
So-
more of a... Go on.
It could indicate a number of things. You could see destruction at a personal level. You could see destruction of a town or some larger location, or you could see destruction as a means to something else, destruction as a means to creation. It would depend on what sort of stands out to Kurgan in his mind. Any of those would be very valid.
Don't want to lean too much into the rogue players or all edgy stereotypes, but we might as well go with it. So I think we'll be flashing back to when Kurgan lost his teeth. So he had just entered the Thieves Guild of the unnamed city, which he boarded the airship on. And during his trials, he'd been taken down to a dungeon level, essentially an area cut off from light, dank, dark, where the person who had been sort of, what's the right term? Like, quizzing him? No. Testing him as to whether he can join the Thieves Guild. Has essentially taken him down here on the pretext that he's going to do one more trial for to see if he's ready to join. At this point, he's sort of late teens, maybe like human equivalent 16, 17. He's even lankier and less built up now. Not quite as tall. Maybe around the 5'8", 5'9", rather than the well above 6 feet he currently is. But definitely looking a lot more malnourished than he does later. He's already proven himself in like tests of stealth and pickpocketing and blade play. And he gets taken down by this guy, a already experienced thief carrying a sword and dagger combination that is probably familiar to anyone else who's seen Kurgan fight up until now. And he takes him down into this dungeon, and while he's down here, he sort of is saying to him, you've shown yourself how good you are, how impressive your skills are, but you've been here for a while. You've operated in our city before without our say-so. Now you have to prove to us that you're worthy of being here, despite thumbing your nose at us for so many years, so much time. So he takes him into this dungeon, and he sort of gets Kurgan to let him manacle him to a wall. And once he's done that, a bunch of other robed figures with their faces blocked off come into the room. And as he does it, he unveils a sort of set of rusty torture implements, pulls up a set of pliers, and says, you've been holding on that you're you're tougher and stronger than the rest of us with your orcishness. So what if you're no longer an orc? And he reaches in, he grabs Kurgan's jaw, and he holds these pliers up, and he grabs the big fangs that all orcs are famous for having, the big underbite tusks. He grabs each one and he rips them out. And as he does, one of these black-robed figures hands him a red-hot brazier that he scorches into the gaping holes where his tusks were, leaving massive rents and damage to his gums. And then once he's done, he says, we'll let you in the guild, but remember this, no matter what, you're always gonna be fangless. And then he walks out and leaves Kurgan hanging from the wall, bleeding and grim. And then flashing forward several years, we see Kurgan as this guy's leading some kind of heist into a building Kurgan, now with his signature cloak, is sort of left as lookout outside. And as this guy breaks into this building, Kurgan sort of gestures to this person off screen, and a signal goes out, and we see this guy's gets surrounded by guards of this building and kicking and screaming and dragged away as Kurgan smiles his famous smile.
Are we allowed to know what guild Kurgan is a member of?
I haven't actually named it. I just know it's a random thieves guild.
Okay.
That could be something we can come up with.
Alright.
Or we can leave it to the GM for details for entertainment value.
I'll have some ideas I'll send you. Let's cut to Calliope. Calliope, same deal. You can pick a scene of destruction from your past or a glimpse of the future. It's not going to be like a lot of detail. You just get a vague glimpse into the future of destruction. And if you need, I can play Betty Sue, or we can tag in one of the others to play one of the characters, depending on how many people you want in the scene.
Yeah, no, so yeah, essentially Calliope does dream of the past when she is just a young girl, still in what would be considered elementary school. Was writing, she thought, an absolutely stellar story, and Betty Sue, being the little shit that she's always been, went and destroyed it on her.
Okay. What was the name of the story?
Calliope's magical story of dragons and unicorns. No, it was only in primary school.
Okay. Well, I think we need to lighten the mood up, so I'm going to go to Vorgrim. And Vorgrim, you tell us, what crosses your mind when you see destruction?
Vorgrim's mind gets cast back to prior campaigns, to his very first one, in fact. You see, there will always be campfires beyond the watchtower at the fringes of civilization, pillagers, raiders, the other enemies of society. And in those situations, there are very few who can stand between utter destruction and the raiders from beyond the gates. Often it falls down to organizations like the Zentarum, disciplined mercenaries who've been trained by the lash to never shirk their duties, to always keep watch, to always keep their weapons oiled and ready to go. Vorgrim remembers his first such campaign, his first such posting out on the fringes of society. He'll never forget it. The siege went on for 3 weeks and would have lasted for 3 weeks longer if not for Harper's sabotage. The fall came quickly when it happened. His comrades, the local villagers, even the cats and dogs were slain by the horde, and what began as a full company of Zentarum was by the end reduced to a mere handful of wretched survivors. Vorgrim sometimes dreams of what could have instead happened that night had things gone differently. If he'd caught the six-fingered man who sabotaged the supplies, and if he had not lost track of his brother amidst the fires and the fighting.
So Vorgrim was in this scenario where he's eating, the boiled leather of his own shoes. They're chewing on rats to try to get some sort of sustenance.
The usual fare when one's under siege.
Okay. And what is Vorgrim's brother's name?
Let's go with Judas.
Judas, okay. I love it. All right. So, we're going to finish off with Lenora. Lenora, what do you see when you hear the word destruction?
Lenora sees an early her first trip on a ship. She had left home largely thrown out, and she'd bought passage upon a ship that turned out to be a pirate vessel. And they were at sea, and the sky turned black with thunderheads, and the rain lashed the deck, and the wind howling through the rigging. And Lenora had seen a lot of storms and felt them before they hit the horizon, but this was Talos unleashed and unfettered. And she remembers gripping the rail of the ship, numb from the spray, as the Sea Reaver, this pirate ship, groaned under the weight of the waves, and a bolt of lightning lit the ocean, and she saw the wreckage of another ship, derelict and torn apart, and broken timbers and half-drowned corpses tossed around like driftwood in the wrath. And then she saw survivors clinging to the splintered wood, being battered by the waves, lost voices in the wind, but could see their terror and their desperate cries for aid. And then the captain's voice sort of cut through all this thunder and chaos. Leave them, they're dead already. And Lenora is torn. She could save them, and she had to get there, and she called upon Talos, pleading to part the waves and to still the storm long enough. But the god of storms does not answer with mercy. And instead the clouds flare with fury, and the wind slams into the Sea Reaver, nearly throwing everyone overboard. But the sea opens and swallows those final survivors whole, dragging them down into the abyss. And their final desperate gazes are burned into her mind.
And as that happens, you glimpse the captain sitting at the helm, and he's a man with a black cloak and a full red beard, a beard like a river of blood split through with occasional flecks of brown and grey like jagged splintered driftwood. And he just looks at you, keeps on steering. And that concludes our visions. And you all can have a long rest. You've all leveled up. And you all wake feeling, if not refreshed, at least ready for the day.
Definitely
So you
have
find
had
yourselves in
better
the
night's
Mcleod
sleep.
cave.
I agree.
Oh,
I have had
I
better
think
night's
those
sleep.
I think those fumes that from the cave got to me last night. Oh,
In retrospect, this was probably a bad idea to sleep in the cave. Too damp, too musty, too much fungus. If anyone has breathing difficulties, we have to watch out for aspergillus. I hope no one's got immunodeficiency.
oh. Also,
So
not
you
the
see-
softest of beds.
You see all the various fume vapors have largely dissipated. Because you cleared that out before you took your long rest, you do not suffer a point of exhaustion, which was a good move. You see that there's a few Mcleod adults pottering around. Buggered is sort of stirring off to the side. You see Ashling is already up and sort of sipping a cup of tea, just gazing out on the cavern. And you see that one of the elder mushrooms emerges from the cavern to the north. And this is Elder Sinensa. This is the elder who was laid up ill and who summoned the servant octopus. So she approaches you and says, "Are you the heroes that saved my cave?"
Well, it appears so. Yes. We were very heroic. Fit for a tale.
I was too heroic. I'm still bruised.
Well, that won't do. Jeremy! And you see one of the other Myconids comes down from the north cave, and he's carrying something that looks something between a brain, a rose, and a mushroom. And it's all sort of come together in sort of a mushroom that is almost a brain shape with ridges and folds. And it's ruby red, like it's radiating ruby red. And she presents it to you and says, "This is a ruby moral. If you give this to Tarek, I'm sure he could make good work of it."
For a second there, I was worried you'd ask me to eat it.
That's right. We were meant to get a few healing potions out of this. They're worth it.
Well, I mean, we'd hope so. I take the mushroom and go, well, thanks. So was this all caused by those weird dragon things?
And Eldon Sinensis says, "Well, Jeremy, pass me a lozenge." She pops a lozenge and says, "Yes, so this cavern, it's part of the island, right? And this island has a town called, well, it's not called Dragon's Stopover. It's not called Dragon's Layaway. It's called Dragon's Rest for a reason."
So we just perpetuated the stereotype of the town?
I mean, stereotypes are there for a reason sometimes, but it's well before my time. Mushroom people don't live quite as long as some others, but we do know that many years ago, dragons did battle on this island. Dragons raised broods on this island. Dragons visited, and we believe that one or two at least were laid to rest.
I was going to say, doing battle and having broods doesn't sound very restful. I don't know how much that relates to the name of the island.
Did the dragons have a horde?
Well, they're dragons. If you were a betting man, I think you'd place a rather substantial bet.
There we go, thief. Priorities.
I mean,
And that huge egg that was blocking the ventilation shaft in the cavern over in the west, I'm guessing that there was equivalently large creature that laid that egg.
Well, I don't think it would have been able to get in here if it was much larger. The actual caverns, although they're wide, the connecting joins are actually not that big. But I have heard that fire elementals are called when there's some large source of fire. So perhaps it didn't lay it, but perhaps it reflects there's something on the island that's a huge source of flame.
It isn't a volcanic island, is it?
I'm not sure. I'm a mushroom.
And the critter that laid the egg, did we see which direction it went in?
I don't think we confirmed
I
there
don't
was a
think
critter.
the creature laid it.
Saying that, we did encounter a big source of fire that fits with all this thematically, at least. The dragon. The dead one. On the ship.
Only certain dragons are quite fire-based.
Didn't we see this one breathe fire? Am I misremembering things? I might be misremembering things.
And dead dragons aren't known to lay eggs.
You saw it breathe a green fire, so you saw it breathe sort of an unholy fire of undeath. You don't know if that could have summoned a fire elemental or not. The fire elemental, for what it's worth, was your classic orange sort of flame.
Okay. I don't think we've actually reached a single answer here. All I'm left with is more questions. Saying that, I think something is going on here, and I really want to get to the bottom of it. Come on.
Indeed.
While
if
we're
you're
here,
looking to
Elder
get to the
Mushroom,
bottom of it, I dare say you may want to go check out the Compass Rose to the north of the island.
Right. There was the book about that thing and it crashing. What did the wasn't that lady that was mentioned as being on that ship also on the diary? The Harper diary. The one I haven't been able to read more than a couple of passages on.
the agitator. Perhaps we
I
can
pull
learn
it out
more
and
of their
start
schemes
flipping
and
through.
treacheries.
Yep, so you quickly cross-reference the notes you found so far. You find that the first diary you found mentions Mary Sue, and you get the impression that that came from a shipwreck because you found it in the water, and you think that this was a different person to the current diary you have. So at least 2 Harpers have been sent to this island, and both have been sent by Mary Sue. You think one of them didn't even make it all the way. They shipwrecked.
This lady keeps showing up, and she's got something to do. So we heard her. She was connected to this Compass Rose. So that's my boat. Come on, solving mysteries. It's fun.
My blade has an appointment with her destiny.
She's a Harper.
For the time being, yes.
You still haven't explained what you've got against musicians.
You just get a baleful glare from Volgrim and no further explanation.
Fine.
I think
I'm
the
not an
sooner we
expert on
leave
this.
this, sorry,
Sorry.
I think the sooner we leave this fetid fungal cave and get back out to the open sea, even if that is to look at a shipwreck, the happier everyone would be.
Don't know about
And
it.
she looks
Shipwreck
at
open sea, but I would mind some fresh air.
she looks at the myconids and goes, "No offense, you must like it like this, slightly damp and musty. Just not really my thing."
And Elder Sinensis says, "Not a problem." And you hear someone at the back say, "I took a little offense." But mostly they're all sort of happy. You just fix things. So they've given you a ruby moral. You can do with that with what you will. You've basically explored the whole cave, and you're free to leave if you guys want to and head back to the island.
Do we want to head back to Dragon's Rest and see if that gal brews up some health potions, or straight there?
Well, after that last fight, I think health potions would be very helpful.
And we know
Oh.
somewhere around here is an undead dragon. Health potions are a good idea.
All right. You got a point. Okay. Let's go back to Dragon's Rest. Get the guy to brew us something up. Then we'll check out that ship. All right, let's go.
Okay.
Are
you guys going to row back or go overland?
row?
Okay.
I presume
And
the way
it
we got
We
is-
don't want to. We will need the boat to get to the wreck. So I wouldn't leave it here. We would just have to come back and collect it later.
I mean, we could arguably portage it, but that's a lot of work.
It did look kind of heavy.
Okay. It's about
Row it
about midway between high and low tide. You can do it easily enough. No need for a survival check. You've sort of made that for this trip already with flying colors. So you guys are able to return to Dragon's Rest. And if you wish to do anything here, you can. You just let me know sort of what you want to do. And then when you want to, you can head off.
I believe mostly we're keen to, return that moral so we can get those healing potions we were promised.
Well, the moral was an extra reward. We had the Heart's Cap mushrooms for the healing
Ah.
potions. but we were told to return it to that guy. Pretty sure it's the same guy. And he said he might be able to brew us up something special. So, I mean, he seems the first one. I'm just trying to think if there's anyone else we wanted to see.
We
Yeah,
never
so-
saw that temple up on the hill.
That's a good point. We were too eager to go check out the cave.
It'll be
Alright.
embarrassing if it's a Harper temple that we overlooked.
I mean, they did say that priestess had been here longer than anyone else, so maybe she is a harbor. Who knows? Let's stop off at the brewmaster person's place first. So we head to what was his name?
Yep.
Taki?
So Tarek's tending a garden. This is embarrassing. I did different voices for Tarek between the two campaigns, and I can't remember which one was this. I'm just gonna go with the one I remember.
Yeah, this is why I can't do voices. Never keep track.
And,
I have not been able
says-
to keep a consistent accent yet.
he says, "Ah, yes, I see you're back alive. What have you got for me?"
Right, we got
Mushrooms.
mushrooms. 2 different types of
Oh,
mushrooms.
yes.
We got ones you asked for, I hand in the bag, and brain shroom. They said it was special.
And his eyebrows sort of go way up when he sees that. He looks and he's like, "Whoa." So he says, "Well, the heartcap mushrooms are of course very useful. I'll whip those up into a set of healing potions. You can each take one for however many mushrooms you're able to gather. But this is magnificent. This is a ruby moral. I can use this to brew an elixir of health. I won't be able to do it right now. I can do the healing potions pretty quick before you go off, but the elixir of health will take at least a day."
Right. Well, do we hang around for that?
What will this
Yeah, you guys-
elixir of health actually do?
So when you drink an elixir of health, you are cured of all magical contagions, and the blinded, deafened, paralyzed, and poison conditions end on you. So it's pretty good for removing debuffs.
Fair enough. Something we want.
Bit of a cure.
If one is paralyzed, how does one drink this?
Messily, I
well-
imagine.
Great risk of
That's why
aspiration.
one must have friends.
One can pour it down your throat with pleasure.
As long as you don't asphyxiate.
Mm,
I believe it can also be administered as a lavage of the lungs, quite safely in an emergency.
These are the preferable oral cavities for it to be put into.
If you wish to form a written
I do not.
agreement of an alternative cavity, then oral it will be.
yes. Your degree of health, if you will. Well, I happen to pick up 6 of those mushrooms, so I'm expecting 6 potions, please. What about everyone else?
I have 3.
Great. We're up to 9. I'm keeping count. I'm sure I'll remember and not forget entirely what number I said.
I believe that was a day where I wasn't able to make it, so
Vorgrim only grabbed 2.
Just roll a d6 for me, Calliope.
Right.
two.
And yeah, so Tarek heads off to make you your potions. You'll be able to get them in an hour or 2. He's pretty quick with that. Yeah, and you're free to do whatever else you wish.
Right. Well, while he brews up some potions, check out the temple.
Sure.
We can ask the priestess about what she knows about that ship as well.
Okay, so you guys head up to the temple. This is the first time you've been there, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, we didn't go there the first time.
Okay. Let me just pull something up. Okay, so you approach the temple that is an open-air temple. It hangs over the cliff, supported by arched stone struts that are anchored to the cliff face. The north wall of the temple is carved directly into the rock, while the rest is open to the sea air. Heavy pillars mark the 3 open sides supporting the wooden roof. In the center of the temple stands a stone statue of a kind-looking old man with canaries perched on his hand, shoulders, and head. And you just feel a serene aura suffusing the place. Runara is present. She's poring over some maps and sort of fiddling with some gadgets. Anyone who wants can engage her, and anyone who wants can just make a little perception check if you want to see what she's doing.
I am 100% rolling perception. And I get an absolutely useless 9.
Yeah, I get a pretty useless 8. +1, so also 9.
Do you want to jump on the perception train, Lenora, or you're happy to sort of hang back?
Yeah, pretty useless 8.
I love how we're all rolling about the same.
With those numbers, you see that she's reading something you assume is an astrology section in a newspaper, like a little newspaper the kobolds have put together, and you can see, Mercury's in retrograde. Beware of bad fortune. You see a couple of gadgets. You're not sure what they do.
Sorry.
And you can see that there's a couple of gadgets pointing out up into the open air, and you're not sure what they're meant to be looking at or doing. But yeah, Elder Renara looks over to you and sort of says, yes. Here you've returned heroically from Seagro Caves.
Becoming the thing of legend.
Unless the mushrooms talk about us, I don't think so. Well, they did seem pretty chatty. No, we killed a couple of dragon things.
I was our legend.
Can we edit it?
I don't think you need to edit it to make yourself sound more heroic. That's my job.
Right. I was hoping to just not be mentioned.
Priestess.
You know what? We'll come back to that.
Who is the man with the chickens?
And Elder just rests a hand on the statue and says, just a kind old man. Vorgrim, you can make a check for me if you want.
Sorry, was that a religion check or something else?
You can make a religion check to see if you know what this is, or you can make an insight check to see if she's lying. History would also be fine. It appears to be an old man. With a 6, it does appear to be an old man. Probably a fan of chickens, perhaps a farmer from the island previously.
It's going to be one of those nights, isn't it?
We're starting off well. It's okay. We assume old men with chickens are just old men with chickens. Like we're focused on bigger mysteries right now. Right.
Why would you build a statue to an old man with chickens?
I like chickens. They're good. They lay eggs.
Yeah,
Was he a military man, a colonel, perhaps?
No, he had a kind heart, though he was not afraid to use force if needed. And
Maybe
also, eggs are quite expensive.
Polisher or a Sanders or something, Colonel Sand or.
Anyway, I'm quite busy, and
Lenora,
I do have. Sorry, classic Sagittarius.
Does Lenora recognize who this temple is likely to be dedicated to? Would that be religion?
Yeah, religion. You can do a religion.
18.
Ah, I see you're an Aquarius, very astute. I can sense you're really vibing with me right now. I can see that. And you see, Lenora, that this is a temple to the Platinum Dragon Bahamut, the patron and progenitor of metallic dragons. You know that this is one of his classic disguises that he will use to walk among mortals. You know that this is a dragon who upholds honor and justice or provides courage to face a great threat. Yeah.
She says the platinum dragon. Does he walk among the people here? Has he been seen on these isles?
They say when Dragon's Rest was a place where dragons came to meet, to conduct diplomacy and to fight when diplomacy failed, they say he walked amongst us then. You know, we certainly haven't seen him here, but we keep the temple because, well, we have hope and faith.
That was a hard left turn, Lenora, asking about random gods. Well, what do you know about the Compass Rose?
Ah, yes. So the Compass Rose shipwrecked many years ago up to the north. That stretch of the island, unfortunately, has been a deadly reef ever since. Well, this is legend, mind you, but they say that an ancient gold dragon fell from the sky and its bones form part of the reef there. Many years ago, terrible battle. Legend, I obviously didn't see it myself. And we think that the Compass Rose just ran aground above the reef, which, you know, could be dragon's bones or could just be normal coral.
Right. Were there any
Have you ever
survivors from
been
it?
up there?
Oh, that's a good question.
No survivors from that one. The only real survivors we have here are Tarek and Varnorth, but neither were on the Compass Rose, unfortunately. I have gone up there. I've had a little look around, but, you know, my bones aren't quite as sprightly as they used to be. Got a touch of the rheumatism, and, you know, I try to keep up my calisthenics, but I'm not really able to get up there and explore shipwrecks.
So how long ago was it wrecked?
The Compass Rose, I believe, was about 10 years ago. The reef's been there for many years before that, but the Compass Rose happened about 10 years ago. That was when our zombie troubles started, really.
Right. The timing is coincident.
Yeah. Which caused the first chicken or the egg? Did it crash because of the undead? Or was it the cause of the undead?
Vorgrim is just staring intently at the chickens on the old man's shoulders. I don't see how this relates to the shipwreck.
What, the statue? I think I might be missing something, because I don't think it does. All right. Okay, sorry. Shipwrecked. No survivors that we know of. Something to do with some lady, and zombies showed up immediately afterwards. Or beforehand. I'm looking at the priestess.
Yes. So the ship certainly wrecked around the time the zombies started. I think it's a coincidence. I think you could probably have a good shot at unraveling the mystery by going up there. You mentioned some lady.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Actually, maybe you should worry about it. There was a lady called Mary Sue that we've run into mentioning this Compass Rose, like she was on it or something. No recollection.
Haven't heard of her.
Right.
Anyone who wants can roll me a perception check or an insight check.
15 insight.
18 insight.
Lenora, you're the only one who clocks this. You think she's lying. You notice her eyebrow twitches. Everyone else can't tell.
Lenora doesn't say anything at the moment.
Not very helpful. That's all I got. Anyone else?
Do you know
I
what
think
was the
it's-
problem in the Mcleod cave?
Yeah, there was a fire snake egg.
And some little dragony things. Yeah.
Failure of the negative pressure systems.
Poor ventilation.
The fire snake egg concerns me.
How does that concern you?
Not as much as it concerned the Myconids.
Well,
Actually,
it's gone now, so nothing to be concerned about anymore.
Yeah, all right. I mean, they were strangely unconcerned with their slow decay, but yeah, that might just be my kids.
Yes, they're real Capricorns, they are.
Anywho,
We've been reading up about astrology now. I don't know any astrology. Okay, well, this has been not very enlightening at all.
just because I've got horns doesn't make me a Capricorn.
Right. That's I mean, yeah, you're not a goat just because you have horns. That makes sense. You could be a sheep. Oh, I'm getting distracted again. Yeah, I was gonna say, I have found this very frustrating as I have found nothing out. I think we should leave before I get more annoyed.
By boat or proceed over land?
Do we want to wait for Tarek to finish brewing up the special potion?
Tarek steps in and lobs you a couple of potions. He's made quick work of it, so just throws them to you.
Thank you.
Do we get the same amount of mushrooms we gave him?
Yeah, so standard healing potions in exchange for mushrooms? Yeah.
1-to-1. You think you've probably depleted the crop, though, so you won't be able to go back for another cheeky visit and get a few more in the next few weeks.
Fair.
Okay. Right, so how many we get? We got 11 plus however many collab he brought. So
13 in total.
yeah. Maybe we give our armored barriers a couple extra. I only need one. But did you see how he fought? Like, they were between me and the dragons. The whole thing.
I would personally suggest we carry the healing potions, and should they require one, we could always throw or administer one to them. Then, should they die, we don't have to loot their corpses.
A pragmatic
I mean,
suggestion.
we don't have to. I was going to loot their corpses.
If their corpse is in an inaccessible area.
You guys have been hanging out with Vorgrim too much.
Indeed.
Okay, so you have your health potions. You have your health potions.
Yep.
So how many each did that work out as health potion wise?
So 13 total.
So
Uh,
so
just
I
rotating
got
quickly.
3, you got 2, Calliope, and then
Yep.
however else that splits.
So I had 6, and Vorgrim has 2.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on how flexible you're willing mage
Yeah,
hand to
it's just-
be later on, when I hit 3rd level, it might be useful to let me have them. I could potentially distribute them using mage hand.
Okay. So you guys are happy to leave. Do you want to go overland or take the boat? You'll need to go the boat at least part of the way. The reef is partly exposed at low tide, but you'll need the boat for at least part of the journey.
As we walk out of that temple, Lenora just turns back and goes, and she just raises the sleeve on her robe, and there's a sort of a really bad sort of sailor's tattoo of what looks like a swordfish and then an anglerfish in a circle. And she goes, Pisces, I think you'll find, like Mary Sue, and carries on walking.
Did anyone else follow that?
Not at all.
As we get back away from the temple and away from Lenora, then I will tell everybody that she's definitely lying. She knows something. I don't think there's much point interrogating her yet.
So she's a potential harbor collaborator, is she?
I thought you believed that everyone was a potential harbor collaborator, and
Oh,
therefore
don't give him.
almost certainly.
If I thought everybody was a harbor collaborator, then everybody would be disemboweled.
That. Well, we're clearly not
But then
harbor
you'd have no one
collaborators.
to
None of
hang
us
out
here.
with.
I mean, I'm partial to music, but I'm more of a flutist than a harpist.
He doesn't even know what they are.
Calliope, as you leave the temple, Runara pulls you aside, and
yes,
she
how can I
she
help?
just says to you, "I hear that you arrived in some sort of blue portal. Is that right?"
Yes, that's. It appeared out of the blue. Huh? Pun intended.
I can see you've got a famous writer brewing in you. I have heard of this phenomenon. It's something typically adventurers or heroes are called to where they're needed. It's a twist of fate. It's a relocating of the right people to the right scenario. Some people think of it as sort of a privilege. Some people consider it just kind of part of the job. But everyone who I've talked to knows it as the shift.
Fascinating. Have you ever seen one of these happen before?
Once long ago, well, I say long ago, it was like 5 years. The adventurer left before we could really get to know him very well. He didn't seem very happy to be here.
What did he manage to do while he was here?
He was really interested in the caves. He went down there and spent some time in the Myconid caves. What was his name? Catasix. I think his name was Catasix. Yes, but he left before we could really get to the matter of it.
That's a shame. Did anyone manage to talk to him much?
I don't know. No one really talked to him much. Maybe Varnoth, but it's hard. She's hard to read, you know. I've asked her if she talked to him, and she just sort of glared at me. That's kind of her resting face.
Interesting.
Anyway, just thought you should know in case it happens again.
Well, thank you for letting me know.
and she sort of trundles back into the temple. Yeah. Is there anything else you guys would like to do, or would you like to head out for the Compass Rose?
Head out. Okay.
Let us
I
go.
think we're taking the boat. I think we've established that we like the boat.
Well, I think if we're going to need the boat to get out to the wreck, makes sense to take the boat.
So you guys jump in the boat. You are able to push off into the water. You see a trio of kobold standing on the cliff, sort of waving at you with his hat, and he says, "I have taught you all I can. Fly free, my young birds, fly free." And he sort of takes a bow and disappears as you guys sail off into the blue. Probably got maybe 10 minutes left on the clock. Do you guys want to make me a quick survival check on the way to the Compass Rose? Anyone can helm that if they wish.
I fall overboard. Oh, no, actually, well, okay. When I looked at it on the screen.
Yeah, 19's fine. You guys are clear sailing. You guys are having a pretty pleasant trip on Stormwreck Isle. So you proceed up towards the Compass Rose. You do see it coming. You're able to dodge the reef and sort of the jagged bits that would scrape a boat. As you approach, you see it at the northern end of a long spur of sharp rocks and dragon bones jutting from the ocean waves. You think it really does look kind of like dragon bones, those bits sticking up in the water. With a survival of 19, you get the sense that, you know, there might be some truth to the story of the gold dragon falling here. You see a couple of things. Waves lap against a derelict ship lodged against a ridge of rocks and enormous dragon bones. A faint odor of rot wafts on the sea air, along with the sound of screeching seagulls and the roar of the surf. A tangled mess of tattered sails and rigging hangs off the starboard side of the main deck, which would allow you to climb aboard the Compass Rose. And at the stern, you can make out a gaping hole in the hull beneath the waterline. So theoretically, you could dive down, but it would be a very difficult endeavor in rough seas with bones and coral. So you can see there on the map the Compass Rose. I'll zoom that in a bit. And all you can really see, to be honest with you, at the moment is the upper deck and the main deck. So the main deck is sort of where you would come on at sort of base level, and the upper deck is just like a small elevated portion, maybe a person's height above the main deck, but it's all open.
Right.
I think it would be wise to climb on top of the deck. Going through that opening sounds a bit dubious. If we have to dive under and swim in and there's no pockets of air.
Alright, I guess I'll head up first. If someone wants to follow me, like Volgrim, with your sword. And I grab hold of the rigging on the side and start climbing up. Is that a roll? Or is that... Oh, sorry, Lenora.
No, I was just going to say, as we move over Lenora... Lenora
are you trying to be sneaky, or are you just... Sorry, Lenora, maybe you go first. Kurgan, you just have to think about if you want to stealth it or not.
Sorry, I was just going to say, as Lenora heads over, she's going to cast Detect Evil and Good. Because this entire place so far has been riddled with the undead.
Can you read me the text of Detect Evil and Good?
Yeah, of course I can.
Okay, actually I've got it here.
For the duration. Yeah, for the duration. So it's on me for 30 feet around me. Concentration up to 10 minutes. And for the duration, can locate aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead within 30 feet of me. Can also sense where the hallow is active, but I'm thinking it probably isn't. And there's 1 foot of stone, 1 foot of wood, etc. So.
Okay, so the spell will be blocked by 1 foot.
Yeah.
1 foot of wood. 1 inch of metal or a thin sheet of lead. Okay, why does everything have to be in American? Okay, so 30-foot range.
2.5 centimeters.
Whereas
Okay, 2.5 centimeters. Can you show me where you would place Lenora when she comes on deck? And I will give you further info. About 30 feet. So the ship itself is maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is about 30 feet width, and then about 80 feet long. Okay, so
Yeah. So Lenora would just follow Kurgan and Vorgrim onto the ship. She would just do so with detect evil and good up.
okay. Kurgan, are you stealthing it, or are you just sort of going at a standard pace?
I'm a rogue, so I think stealthing is my main methodology.
Yep. Give me a stealth check.
20, 30.
Easy. Vorgrim, are you hanging back in your heavy, clanky plate mail, or are you right behind them, sort of tiptoeing?
Vorgrim was planning on letting the nimble person in, who's not clad in heavy metal, climb up the side of the ship, then hopefully throw down a rope so Vorgrim can climb up that, with minimal chance of falling into the water where he'll certainly drown.
Okay. So, Lenora and Kurgan, can you just position yourselves on the ship where you get to initially?
I'm still seeing Seagrow Caves.
Let me adjust that.
Mine's updated. Just refresh it, I think.
Yeah, I can see the wreck.
It must be my terrible internet.
Okay. What I will say, maybe Lenora, you place yourself where it is, because you've got the spell up, so it's of most pertinence for you. You just place yourself where you would want on the deck.
Sorry, it's just throwing me in here. I'd probably come in here.
Yep. Okay.
I'm trying to slink around and use the mask to hide behind.
You sense the presence of undead where that ping has gone off to the northwest. You stamp on the deck and you sense fairly sturdy timber beneath you, and you're not sure if that would block anything below you.
Okay. I whisper to Kurgan, undead, towards the northwest.
So as you step onto the main deck, you see mouldering wood. It is slick with algae and seawater. There is a tangle of rigging, splintered railings, and stray seaweed. You spot boots, bones, and bits of gore that seem considerably more recent than the wreck of this ship. So the ship looks like it's been there for 10 years, but there's fresh debris. Stairs lead to the upper decks at fore and aft, so the front and back, and doors lead into the cabins under those decks. The main mast is intact and mostly upright, with a crow's nest overflowing with debris. It's sort of pouring out the sides of it. Yeah, and you can go down into the hold via the stairs in the center as well.
Okay. When Lenora mentions that they're undead, I very quietly draw my blades. And then I'm going to walk back over to the side, stick my head over, and mouth to the people in the boat below, undead. And then,
Bugret says, "What?" And Bugret sort of nudges Ashley's like, he needs to speak louder. Don't know what's up.
I'm on my way.
And then Kurgan is going to head over. You said it was up here? How do I ping?
I'll ping. That didn't work.
Okay.
So you sense it right where that door is to the northwest.
Can I sneak
And
over?
Lenora, you would
the
actually
door?
sense two sources of undead.
Lenora
Okay,
goes,
can I sneak over to the door?
Yep.
And I'm going to try and find a keyhole to peek through.
Yep, so you're looking for a keyhole. No troubles. The door is not locked. You can see that the door is jammed shut, but the lock has long since lost its capacity to work. You think you could open this without a lock picking check, but it does seem to be sort of wedged a little. You'd have to give it a little shove.
I might go down to the other door. Is there another door down south?
Yep, so there's a door to the south there. And you could also go in through that. You think it might be a separate cabin.
Okay. I might go check that door and see if I can open it quietly rather than breaking it open.
Yep, so you think you could probably open that door fairly quietly. Do you want to open it up?
Yep. I very slowly open it a little bit, check to see if it's making any creaking noises, and then pull out of my thief's kit a tiny bottle of oil and start putting it in the hinges before opening it a bit more.
Okay, easy enough. You are able to open it up. What's happening? Okay, so you see a couple of things. You see a dividing wall, so you sense that this is one of two cabins on this side. This is C3, so you see. Sorry, this is C5. You see. You see a long dead headless skeleton propped up against the counter to the right, but this galley is otherwise empty. Or did the skeleton move? You're not sure. And then you see a small harmless crab crawl over it and just create the illusion of movement. So it's, it's fine. Not undead. Lenora, you don't sense the undead from this particular compartment.
Lenora's going to move towards the other end of the ship. So she knows there's undead at the top cabin there. Mm-hmm. She's going to move this way.
Okay, so
and see if anything goes off at the other end of the ship.
Nothing on your current level. You don't think there's any undead at your current level. You think maybe the ship's flooring might be blocking below you, but at your current level, you're not sensing anything to the northeast or to the southeast.
Okay.
I'll explore this room quietly and see if there's any gaps or things I can look through into the room we think the undead are in. And if not, I'll head out and talk to the others.
How do you try to gauge it? Do you just sort of knock on the wall? Do you sort of put your head up to the wall and listen? Do you just have a peek around?
I'd enter the room. I'd actually assess the wall visibly. I wouldn't knock on it, but I'd press on it and see if there's any gaps that form quietly. And I'd put my ear to it and listen and see what I can hear.
Okay. You hear just a guttural groan from the room next door. That's all. You can't see another way in without going through the other door that you saw.
Okay, I'd come back out, get over to the other side, and like gesture everyone to group up. Right, that door. I'm pretty sure it's rusted shut. I think we can open it, but it's going to make a bang. So I think there's.
So heroic entrance it is.
Dead is not.
I can't
heroic.
detect anything. I can't detect anything else of the undead down this eastern end of the ship. If we wanted to search those rooms first and leave the room we know there until last. That's not to say
Can
there
you
isn't
sense
anything
anything
living
north?
in there. Not at the moment. I could maybe stand on the stairs and see. But certainly
Okay, so you
only
can't feel
on
anything
this
below
level.
it?
Not at the moment.
Oh, so you can't feel. Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, maybe we do search the other rooms. Quietly, though.
Yep. And
So-
you guys also have visibility of the upper deck as well. You can just sort of see where the helm is of the ship, as well as the forefront area, for what it's worth.
Yeah, so on this level, Lenora thinks there's undead in this room at the top left.
Top left.
Yeah, over the galley, and there's nothing in the rooms on the eastern end on this level that's undead. Doesn't mean there's nothing alive, but there's nothing undead. But there do appear to be doors there as well.
Borgrim, you see a ballista on the forecastle at the front, on the upper deck. It looks useless, but you just reminisce. On
Does it
better
look
times.
repairable?
No.
Looks like we can't pimp out our rowing boat then.
Are there any
You're
ballista bolts that could be used as javelins?
I mean, they could. They're only useful in the sense that a jagged, broken down piece of metal is still deadly, but you're probably not going to do more damage than your standard weapons.
Shall I go and open that door?
Which one?
The one that everyone's getting excited about.
The one with the undead.
Well,
Lenora's going
I was
to
thinking
investigate this one at the top first.
Yep. So you have a look. We'll call this northeast. So you're able to open the door without too much trouble. This one doesn't seem to be jammed. I'm going to reveal what's inside it. So you don't see any undead in here. I'm going to call this C6, just for my reference notes. You see 6 double bunks lining the edge of this cabin. Personal effects are strewn about the room, and a faded painted portrait hangs on one wall. The portrait shows a young couple smiling and embracing. You could move in and have a closer look at that if you want. You could also, inspect the room and have a dig around under the bunk beds or whatever you want.
Yeah, I'd probably have a look and see whether there's anything out of place. Is there any storage? Are there any cupboards? Are there any locked chests? Anything like that? I'm assuming this looks like quarters of some kind. Having lived on a
so
boat.
can you make for me an investigation check? And this will be for the bunk beds. And if you want, you can make a perception or investigation for the portrait. Not a hard one. 10. Okay, not bad. Not bad.
And 16 perception.
Oh, 16 perception. Okay. Yeah, easy enough. So you see a couple of things. You see the portrait. You see written across the bottom of the portrait are the words Aletha and Brastos together forever. You see that it's a portrait of a black-haired woman with a sailor's uniform. similar to standard shipping company. The blonde-haired man wears a merchant's fine clothes. You imagine this is Aletha and Brastos. With the 16, you notice a floorboard in the middle of the room that is raised slightly above its neighbors. And that piques your interest. Anyone standing out on deck, if anyone has a passive perception above 11, you notice that the wheel on the helm is starting to dangle and swing in some breeze, and you think that could potentially snap at any moment.
Lenora says to Kurgan, what do you make of that? And she points out the floorboard.
What? Oh, sorry. Distracted by that wheel. It's clearly going to make a loud noise. That
Well, don't
looks
stand
like
under it
someone.
then.
Good plan. That looks like a person's hidden stash. Give me a minute. I'm going to walk into the room and then try and lever up that floorboard.
Okay. So as you lift it up, a tiny dart shoots up and it attempts to hit you. The dart gets +5. Uh, 17 hit your AC?
It does.
Okay, so you take 1d4 piercing damage, and can you roll a DC 11 Constitution saving throw to try and avoid poison damage?
Classic poison dart trap.
Okay, so you save easily against the poison. You take a small amount of piercing damage. You take 2 piercing damage. Easy enough. So the trap seems to have been triggered. Doesn't seem like it's going to fire again. And you can have a look under there now, and you see a sack of 200 gold pieces.
Nice. And I hand it to Lenora. And then I rifle around in there to see if there's anything else.
You don't find much else. You can find some old sailor's clothes. Not much else. I won't make you roll any further.
I hold the sailor's clothes up to myself. I could have been in the Navy.
Hey, it might make a fine costume if need be.
And then I'm going to just start rooting through the rest of this room. I check the beds. I shuffle under the mattresses. I lift them up, look underneath on the floorboard, see if there's any other stuff. He's clearly getting lost in just rifling through stuff.
Yep, you don't find too much else, but you're welcome to.
I think once he's done all that, he goes and checks out that painting. And then he'll clearly search it he's looking for hidden safes or traps and stuff. He'll look around the edges. He'll once he's made sure there's no pressure traps, he'll look under it and see if there's a safe behind it.
Yeah, give me roll to detect traps or investigation or whatever you want to, sleight of hand, whatever you want to do here.
I think that's investigation.
Seems safe.
Cool. I'm going to pull it off the wall and see if there's a safe behind it.
No safe, no traps. You think this is a lovely portrait of a couple that is very much in love. You can see that the care of the brushstrokes. Would make a fine picture for one of Calliope's books if she was to write a romantic medieval or Age of Sail piece. Would do very well.
Sure, Calliope.
Anyone out on deck still sees that steering wheel is just hanging on by a thread.
Go up to it and grab it so it doesn't drop and make a noise.
Okay. As you come up to it, it starts to fall off. Can you make me a DC 10 dexterity saving throw?
Yeah, I'll try. quite.
Okay. So with a 9, what happens is the steering wheel falls off, hits the deck with a thunk, and it just echoes across the empty deck and across the waves, and seagulls take flight. And as that happens, you hear from the compartment you haven't explored to the northwest banging and thuds, and then the door bursts down and 2 zombies charge out onto the deck, and we're going to enter combat next game because it's late at night and we have
Wasn't me!
work to do.
Gather round adventurers, it's time for a quest. Stories of magic and dragons at rest. Our dice are ready, let's roll with zest. Welcome to our table, you're our honored guest.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Roll for Initiative, a real play D&D podcast. Today we are... Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Monsters and Menace, a real play Dungeons and Dragons podcast.
Welcome back to episode 3.